Welcome back. Just about to start second action here at the Capitol Center. Baldwin Wallace leading Capitol 33-26. It is senior day today for the women. Women's team trying to come back from what was once an 11-point deficit against the Yellow Jackets here this afternoon. I'm Charlie Danis. Thanks so much for joining us for this presentation of women's basketball here on the Capitol Sports Network. Napolitano will get it over to Simone Gage. Gage dribbling in on the right wing. Simone will get it in, but it's immediately taken away by Baldwin Wallace. And now it's over to Sydney Clark. Clark leading the charge for Baldwin Wallace. And now a traveling violation is going to be called against the Yellow Jackets. First turnover of the first half goes to Beat-Up. Gage will bring it across half court now. Now with the right wing is Simone. Now over to Jenner. To Nina. Nina will dribble in. Thompson off the glass and in! Nice job by KT, but boy, she's slow to give up as she took quite a tumble. So now Kristen Thompson will head to the free throw line. Nice start for Capitol offensively. So it's now a 33-28 advantage for Baldwin Wallace. Thompson will look to draw Capitol a little bit closer here with the free throw. Second free throw is good, or the free throw is good for Thompson. It's a 33-29 advantage for Baldwin Wallace with 9:12 remain in the third quarter. Back out to Aaron Allen. Allen over to Mackenzie Colombo. Colombo passes it off to Katie Smith. Smith on the left wing, driving against Irwin, but she's cut off. A loose ball, but it somehow trickles its way back out to Sydney Clark. Now it's over to Smith. Smith driving layup is no good. And the rebound is taken by Baldwin Wallace. And now a traveling violation is going to be called as Lemon, the one who got the rebound for Baldwin Wallace, just tripped over her own 2 feet. So a turnover there for Baldwin Wallace. Capitol trailing B-Dub 33-29. 8:42 remaining in our third quarter. Irwin trying to back her man down, but now she'll be forced to get the ball. Almost rolls out of bounds, but Irwin's able to save it. Over to Gage. Sigmund in the corner. Sigmund inside to Thompson. Out of bounds. And it will be Baldwin Wallace basketball. Capitol shooting 34.5% from the field. Baldwin Wallace, meanwhile, only shooting 40% from the field. Kenzie Matthews now over to Aaron Allen. Now it's over to Colombo. Three-pointer on the way. That is no good, and the rebound is taken by Shelby Sigmund. Off of the miss by Colombo. Gage over to Sigmund. Shelby for three. Shelby is able to knock it down. 1 point lead for Baldwin Wallace, and the crowd is back into it here at the Cap Center. 7:52 to play in the third quarter. Colombo now over to Aaron Allen. Now it's swung over to Colombo. Colombo drives on in. Three-pointer on the way for Clark. That's no good. And the rebound is taken by Lemon. Lemon trying to battle her way through. Now she'll leave it, and now a foul is going to be called against Irwin. As Colombo, it looked like just flat out turned the ball over, but the referee bailed her out. First foul on Capitol. And the free throw is no good for Colombo. Coming in for Baldwin Wallace, Hannah Fecht, and also Alex Starr. Colombo at the free throw line is good. 2-point lead for Baldwin Wallace, 34-32. Under 7.5 to play in the third quarter. Napolitano, and she turned it over. Threw it into a crowd, and Sydney Clark was able to pick it off. Clark, top of the arc. Driving on in. Wild shot. And another rebound for Baldwin Wallace. Again, it's Lemon. Meanwhile, a drive on the inside and a steal for Shelby Sigmund. Sigmund to Simone. Cross half court. Simone out to Nina. Now on the inside to KT. Back out to Shelby. Shelby to Irwin. Irwin driving in. Has her shot vehemently blocked on the inside against Baldwin Wallace. Against Hannah Fecht, who now comes up limping. Fecht now on the left wing. Now it's swung around to Mackenzie Colombo. Colombo driving in, and a charge is going to be called against Colombo. Oh boy, and that's going to draw the ire of Sherry Harrer. Harrer is jumping up and down, and she is incredulous. Pleading with our refereeing crew, but they'll have none of it. Baldwin Wallace 34, Capital 32. 6.5 to play in the third quarter. Irwin, top of the arc, over to Sigmund on the left wing. Sigmund gets it over to Napolitano. Napolitano trying to drive on in, nearly losing the basketball. And now a double dribble is going to be called against Nina Napolitano. Now checking in for Baldwin Wallace is Janaea Feaster. Capital so far has outscored Baldwin Wallace in the third quarter 6-1. We have drawn to within 2. 6:13 remaining in the third quarter. Feaster guarded by Gage. She's now on the right wing, Feaster is. As Capital switches defensively, Napolitano now on Feaster. Swung on over to Alex Starr. 8 on the shot clock. Three-pointer on the way, and it'll rattle home for Hannah Fecht. As Baldwin Wallace pushes its lead to 37-32. 5:49 left to play in the third quarter. And now a couple of substitutions will come in for Capital. Colleen Fondesi and Annika Watchman will come in for Napolitano and Thompson. So Capital had drawn to within 2. They're now down by 5. 5:47 remain in the third quarter. Watchman on the right wing. Annika dribbling to her left. Now over to Shelby Sigmund. Shelby, she'll dribble to her right towards the top of the arc before getting it off to Fondesi. Fondesi back to Irwin. Irwin, deep three. Jenna not able to knock it through. And Aaron Allen with the rebound for Baldwin Wallace. Allen, top of the arc. Over to Hannah Fecht. Fecht will dribble. Trying to get it inside. Simone with a near steal. Now it's a three-pointer. That's no good for Monroe. And now a foul will be called against Baldwin Wallace as Aaron Allen was battling with Watchman for the ball. Fondesi now will inbound it to Simone. Simone signaling the play as she crosses half court. Under 5 to play in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace 37, Capital 32. Fondesi, top of the arc. Thought about a three-pointer, dribbles in, back out to Simone. Swung around to Shelby Sigmund. 11 on the shot clock. Shelby will drive on in. Wild shot off the hands of Fondesi. It's no good, and the rebound, actually the turnover, I should say, will go to Baldwin Wallace. Feaster now across half court. She's at the top of the arc. Over to Alyssa Monroe. Monroe over to Wolmerdorf. Now it's up to Simone Gage. Gage to Watchman. Watchman drives on in. Annika scores off the glass and in. Cuts it to 3. 37-34. 4:15 remain in the third quarter. Feaster will be guarded by Annika. Now it's over to Allen. Allen driving on in, and now a foul will be called against, looks like, Simone Gage. Second team foul on Capital this quarter. Napolitano and Thompson will now come back in for Sigmund and Fondesi. Baldwin Wallace will make some substitutions as well. Mackenzie Colombo back out there on the floor for Baldwin Wallace. Colombo will inbound it from the baseline. The trigger man. A wide open three That is no good for Allen. Out of bounds. It'll be Capital basketball. Capital dodged a bullet that time. Aaron Allen was open from here to there, but luckily it did not go down. The missed shot keeps it at a 3-point advantage for Baldwin Wallace, 37-34, 3:50 left to play in the third quarter. They'll go inside the Thompson, but it goes right through KT's hands. Another turnover for Capital, the 8th for the Crusaders this afternoon. 3:45 left to play in the third quarter. Capital still down by 3 against Baldwin Wallace. Sydney Clark. She's at the top of the arc. Now it's over to Colombo. Colombo on the right wing, driving. It's a kick out to Clark. Clark thought about driving, but instead holds back. Now she'll drive towards baseline, off the glass. No good. Thompson with the rebound. She'll feed it ahead to Simone. Simone over to Watchman. Watchman trying to go baseline, but will instead get it back out to Nina. Now it's to Gage. 3:15 remain in the third quarter. Gage looking for a screen. Instead, we'll just dribble on in. Turn around, Jay off the glass and in for Simone Gage. Wow, what a shot. It's a 1-point lead for Baldwin Wallace now. 37-36, 2:58 remain in the third quarter. Aaron Allen over to Colombo. Colombo on the left wing being guarded by Irwin. Back in the hands of Clark. Swung to Wolmerdorf. Now over to Colombo. Colombo nearly losing it, but gets it back. 5 on the shot clock. Smith. Now a three-pointer on the way. That's no good for Clark. It went off the head of Thompson. And she'll get it over to Napolitano. Gage on the right wing. Capital with a chance to take its first lead since the 8:49 mark of the first quarter. Gage trying to size up her man. Instead passes it off to Thompson. Wide pass to Irwin. Irwin for 3, no good. And then out of bounds, it will be Baldwin Wallace basketball. It was Watchman and Aaron Allen battling for the ball. And the referee and crew determined that it went off the hands of Watchman. Substitution for Capital. Shelby Sigmund checks in for the Crusaders. Meanwhile, coming in is Alex Starr for Baldwin Wallace. So Capital still trailing by 1, 37-36. 2:07 to play in the third quarter. Sydney Clark will dribble it across half court. Over to Colombo. Colombo on the right wing. Dribbling in. Now it's over to Hannah Fecht. Now it's in the hands of Sydney Clark. Clark on the left wing with 6 on the shot clock. 5 on the shot clock. Clark still dribbling around. 2-1. Clark gets the shot off and swishes it through. Sydney Clark now with 9 points. A clutch basket for the junior from Parma, Ohio. Watchman floater, no good. Bad shot there for Annika. Minute 24 remain in the third quarter. Baldwin Wallace will feed it ahead. Leading Capital by 3, 39-36. Clark working against Sigmund. Turnaround J for Clark. No good. Rebound taken by Jenna Irwin. Irwin will now go across half court. Now over to Napolitano. 1:02 remaining in the third quarter. Napolitano on the right wing, being guarded by Starr. Now they go inside. KT off the glass and in for KT. Baldwin Wallace 39, Capital 38. It's back down to a 1-point lead once again for the Yellow Jackets. 42 seconds remain in the third quarter. Clark guarded by Nina near the top of the arc. 17 to shoot. They'll go inside to Colombo. Colombo trying to post up Sigmund. Wild shot, no good. KT brings it down. And a foul is going to be called against Baldwin Wallace. No, they're going to call against KT. KT was trying to clear some space with her elbows, but it hit the chest of Clara Lemon. So once again, Baldwin Wallace will get the shot, will get the ball back, and now they can hold for the last shot of the third quarter as well. Oh, what a turn of events there for Capital. 27.4 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Shot clock has been turned off, so now B-Dub can Hole for the last shot of the quarter. They will go inside to Lemon. Now it's back out to Hannafect. Now to Feaster. 20 on the shot, on the game clock, I should say. Feaster. Still being guarded by Watchman. Dribbling and spinning around near half court. Feaster still dribbling and spinning around near the top of the arc. 7 on the shot clock. However, the effect. A drive inside. The shot is missed. Wild shot out of bounds. It will be Capital basketball with a 1/10 of a second remaining. Clearly not enough time for Capital to get a shot off, but a nice defensive stand there at the end of the third quarter. We are headed to the fourth. Hold on to your hats. It's going to be an exciting finish here at the Capitol Center. The Crusaders trailing Baldwin Wallace 39-38. You're on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network. Welcome back to the Capitol Center. The start of the fourth quarter. And we got ourselves a good ball game here. Baldwin Wallace 39, Capital 38. The last regular season home game for the 5 Capital seniors: Jenna Irwin, Shelby Sigmund, Kristen Thompson, Nina Napolitano, and Simone Gage. So the Yellow Jackets will get the ball to start the fourth quarter. Feaster. And now a blocking foul is going to be called against Nina Napolitano as she was trying to get the ball over to Hannafect. Quick check of the statistics here. Capital shooting 37% from the field. Baldwin Wallace shooting 32%, but it's been the three-pointer that's really helped out Baldwin Wallace. 6 of 17 from beyond the arc. Meanwhile, Capital 3 of 7 from beyond the arc. Good for 42.9%, or 43% if you round it up. Alyssa Monroe dribbling in, spinning. Losing the ball. Loose ball on the floor. Capital appears to have it. A jump ball will be called, and they will give it to Capital. Nice hustle on the floor that time by Jenna Irwin. So now, once again, Capital will have a chance to grab the lead. It has been a long, long time since they have had the lead in this game. Gage on the right wing. Feeds inside to Kristen Thompson. Thompson, back down move off the glass. No good for KT, and the rebound is taken by Clara Lemon for Baldwin Wallace. And the layup on the other end is good. Hannafect finding the rim and finding the bottom in the process. It's now back up to a 3-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. Gage to Irwin. Irwin dribbling in off the glass and in for Jenna Irwin. She's now got 11 points here on her senior day. Feaster driving in off the glass and in for the Akron, Ohio native. Back up to a 3-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. Watchman drives in off the glass. That's no good for Annika. And the rebound is taken by Hannafect. 8.5 to play in the fourth quarter. And now a traveling violation will be called against Baldwin Wallace. That will make the Capital crowd here at the Cap Center very happy. Sigmund will now check in for Annika Watchman. It's all 5 seniors out there on the court for the Crusaders. Gage gets the inbounds from Irwin. Baldwin Wallace 43, Capital 40, 8:20 left to play in regulation. Gage to Irwin. Now it's back in the hands of Gage on the right wing. Now over to Irwin. Get inside to Thompson. Thompson off the glass and in. Capital now only down by 1 once again. Let's see if Cap can come up here with a defensive stand now with 8 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. Feaster, guarded by Gage. Gives it off to Allen. Now it's out. And a three is knocked down by Sydney Clark. Boy, it just seems like every time Capital comes to within 1 point or so of Baldwin Wallace, the Yellow Jackets have an answer. So now the lead is up to 4. Thompson drives on in, and the shot will not go for KT as the rebound is taken by Clark. Clark nearly losing it, but a foul is going to be called against Simone Gage of the reaching in variety. Second team foul on Capital this quarter. There has, as of yet, no foul been called on Baldwin Wallace here in the fourth. Couple substitutions now for Baldwin Wallace. Mackenzie Colombo, Clara Lemon. Let's see, they were already out there to begin with. Yellow Jackets back with the basketball. Aaron Allen also out there for the Yellow Jackets. Allen, meanwhile, on the right wing. Now it's over to Katie Smith. Smith slashes her way towards the hoop. It's tipped back up in the air, and Capital eventually comes down with the rebound. Politano on the left wing. Gets a screen from Irwin. Now it's back in the hands of Jenna. Jenna thought about a three with a pump fake. Drives baseline, but her pass is picked off by Sydney Clark. 10th turnover on the day for Capital. Wide open three-pointer now for Colombo. That's no good, and the rebound is taken by Jenna Irwin. And now a timeout will be taken by Capital. We'll step aside as well. 6:44 left to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace 46, Capital 42. Here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
With 14 TVs to watch your favorite team with the next big event, Plant's Cafe and Pizzeria in German Village is ready for you and your group today. Plenty of free parking, free Wi-Fi, banquet rooms for private parties and daily specials. What more reason do you need to visit Plant's Cafe and Pizzeria? Plant's is located at 743 Parsons Avenue and has been serving the Columbus community since 1939. Plant's is on the web at plantscafe.com or available by phone at 614-443-6251. Plant's Cafe and Pizzeria is a proud supporter of Crusader Athletics.
6:44 left to go in the fourth quarter. It's Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 46-42. In this game, Capital has shot 37.2% from the field so far. Meanwhile, Baldwin Wallace shooting 34.9% from the field. Capital will get the ball back here. Napolitano will inbound it from the far side of the court. She will get it into Fondesi. Now it's back in the hands of Napolitano. She'll get it into KT near the foul line. Now back out to Simone Gage near half court. Simone dribbling around. Now over to Irwin on the right wing. Jenna to Fondesi. Colleen back to Simone. Simone inside to Thompson, nearly loses it. Irwin for three. Jenna finds the bottom. Once again, 1 point lead for Baldwin Wallace. 46-45 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. 6:12 remaining in the fourth quarter. Turnaround Jay for Clark. Rattles home. Boy, Sydney Clark has brought her A game here today for Baldwin Wallace. She's got 14 points. 6:03 left to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace 48, Capital 45. Gage, Irwin for three. Jenna not able to knock it down. Offensive board for Nina. That's no good. Out of bounds, and it will be Baldwin Wallace basketball. And that probably should have been a foul as well. A lot of contact. Down low as Napolitano was trying to force another shot up after her offensive rebound. Get inside to Colleen off the glass. No good for Colleen, and the rebound is taken by Sydney Clark. 5:45 left to play in the fourth quarter. Now it's over to Mackenzie Colombo. Colombo dribbling around. Now it's in the hands of Wolmerdorf, and her shot will rattle home. Baldwin Wallace 50, Capital 45. 5:25 left to play in the fourth quarter. Inside, Thompson catches it. Right block, off the glass, no good, but Thompson was fouled. So now KT will head to the free throw line. First foul of this quarter against Baldwin Wallace. So now Thompson Back at the free throw line, KT with 12 points and 4 rebounds today. First shot is good for Kristen Thompson. 4-point lead for B-Dub. Hannah Fecht and Clara Lemon check back in for Baldwin Wallace. Second free throw upcoming for Thompson. It is up, and it is good. 3-point lead for Baldwin Wallace, 50-47. 5:18 left to play in the fourth quarter. Another wide open three, and that one will be knocked down by Hannah Fecht. Boy, the 3-point shooting for Baldwin Wallace has really helped their cause here today. Thompson near the foul line. KT will dribble in, not getting the bucket to go, but once again she's fouled. Second team foul on Baldwin Wallace, and Kristen Thompson once again heading to the free throw line. The foul went against Hannah Fecht, her second. First free throw for Thompson is good. KT's got one more. Second free throw up, and good for KT. Baldwin Wallace 53, Capital 49, a 4-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. It's over to Clark. Clark over to Lemon. Lemon over to Smith. Now over to Fecht. Fecht driving in, and count the bucket and a foul. Fecht took a lot of steps that time, but they weren't going to call a traveling violation on that, so now Fecht will head to the free throw line. Baldwin Wallace doing a great job of keeping Capital at arm's length. They always seem to have an answer on the other side of the floor. Free throw, no good. Rebound taken by Kristen Thompson. B-Dub 55, Cap 49, 4.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Gage looking for some help. Finally gets it over to Napolitano. Nina trying to drive on in, and a blocking foul is going to be called against Clara Lemon. 13th foul on Baldwin Wallace this quarter. 4:21 left to play in regulation, with Capital trailing Baldwin Wallace 55-49. Gage will inbound it from the baseline. Gets it over to Napolitano, now over to Irwin. Gage, top of the arc. Now it's in the hands of Irwin. Irwin trying to drive, and another foul is going to be called against Baldwin Wallace. The foul will be called against Alyssa Monroe. 14th foul on Baldwin Wallace. Sigmund will this time inbound it for Capital. She'll get it into Gage, who had to leap high in the air, but Simone is able to catch it. Irwin left open for three. Off the mark. Thompson with an offensive board. And another foul called against Baldwin Wallace, this time against Clara Lemon. That's now the 15th foul on B-Dub, so now Capital will be shooting free throws the rest of the way here. They will enter the 1-and-1 situation. So here we go. Thompson stepping to the charity stripe. Free throw no good for Thompson. It remains a 55-49 lead for Baldwin Wallace with 4:05 left to play in regulation. Second free throw. Good for KT. And now a timeout taken by Capital. We'll take a timeout as well. 4:05 left to play in the fourth quarter. Capital trailing Baldwin Wallace 55-50 here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network.
When looking for great food at low price, be sure to visit Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital University campus. Peking Dynasty has a large selection of Chinese food and sushi, along with great tasting chicken and beef selections that can please any appetite. In addition, Capital University students receive discounts with a valid ID any day of the week. That's Peking Dynasty on the corner of Livingston and Sheridan, right near the Capital campus, where we are proud to say, go Cap.
4:05 left to play in the fourth quarter. Capital trailing Baldwin Wallace 55-50. Baldwin Wallace gets the inbound successfully in. Alyssa Monroe, cross half court for the Yellow Jackets. Now over to Fecht. Dribbling around now is Aaron Allen. Almost a steal for Capital that time. 14 on the shot clock. Now it's over to Clara Lemon. They'll go inside, and a charge is going to be called against Baldwin Wallace. Monroe lowered her shoulder that time, and that's a no-no. Another foul on Baldwin Wallace. There's 6 of the quarter. Gage across half court. Approaching 3.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Simone out to Nina. Nina, spin move in the lane, shot blocked, but another foul called against Baldwin Wallace. Hannah Fecht, this time the culprit for the Yellow Jackets. So now Nina will head to the free throw line. And now 2 shots upcoming here for Nina, who's got 5 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds today. First free throw is good for Nina. 4-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. Coming back in for B-Dub, by the way, is Mackenzie Colombo. Napolitano bounces the ball a couple times, shot up and good. 3-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. 3:25 left to play in the fourth quarter, with Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 55-52. It's bounced over to Mackenzie Colombo. Colombo on the right wing, dribbling around, slashing her way to the bucket, and she was fouled on the floor against Jenna Irwin. Actually, that'll be a shooting foul. 14th foul on Capital this quarter. So Colombo's first shot is good. Colombo in this game with 10 points, looking to make it 11. And she does. Coming back in is Hannah Fecht. It's a 57-52 lead for Baldwin Wallace. 3:11 remaining in the fourth quarter. Capital's got to get busy here offensively. Sigmund on the left wing, thought about a 3. Now over to Napolitano. Nina dribbling around, out to Simone. Simone driving in, no good. Gets her own offensive board. Back out to Irwin. Extra pass to Sigmund, who thought about a 3 but didn't take it. 2:45 left to play in the fourth quarter. It's out of bounds, and it will still be Capital basketball. Still got plenty of time on the shot clock, 22 seconds to be more specific. So now Gage, trigger man from the baseline, gets it into Nina Napolitano. Napolitano dribbling to her right, inside to KT, off the glass and in for KT. Once again, back down to 3. 2.5 to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace 57, Capital 54. Aaron Allen on the left wing. And now a timeout will be taken by Baldwin Wallace. Once again, we'll step aside for just a moment. 2:24 remaining in the fourth quarter. It's Baldwin Wallace 57, Capital 54 here on your home for Crusaders women's basketball, the Capital Sports Network. .224 left to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 57-54. Cap needs a defensive stop here. Mackenzie Colombo guarded by Gage. Now over to Aaron Allen. Allen to Colombo on the right wing. Colombo, 10-footer. Had her shot knocked away, but now a foul is going to be called against Jenna Irwin. That'll be the 15th foul on Capital, and since Colombo was in the act of shooting, she'll earn herself another trip to the free throw line. Baldwin Wallace has been sharp at the cherry stripe today, 11 of 13 this afternoon, good for 85%. And that number will only go up after the made free throw by Colombo. Back up to a 4-point lead for Baldwin Wallace as time is becoming rapidly short here for the Crusaders. The second free throw rattles home for Colombo. It's a 59-54 advantage for Baldwin Wallace over Cap as we're approaching 2 minutes left to play in regulation. Gage gets it inside to KT. You loses it out of bounds. '11 turnover for Capital, who will now take a timeout. We'll keep it right here at the Capital Center. We want to get you updated here with how the men are doing today against the Yellow Jackets. Right now, it's Capital trailing Baldwin Wallace 67-62 in that game, 2:46 left to go in the second half. Mark Minch with 19 points, Austin Schreck with 15 points, and 8 points apiece for Michael Green and Joe Thomas. Meanwhile, in our game, 2 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 59-54. Seeding is still up for grabs in the OAC. If Capital finds a way to win this game and Mount Union loses to Wilmington, the Crusaders will get the second seed overall in the OAC women's basketball tournament. And meanwhile, the men, they're still trying to find a way to get that fourth seed within the OAC men's basketball tournament. Both those tournaments coming up next week. Capital going with a press defense, but Baldwin Wallace is able to break it. They lead 59-54, Baldwin Wallace does, with 1:45 left to go in regulation. Sydney Clark over to Feaster. Now in the hands of Lemon on the left wing. Back to Colombo. 5 on the shot clock. Colombo drives in, kick out to Feaster for 3. That's no good. Rebound taken by Thompson. And now it's out of bounds, and Baldwin Wallace will get the ball back. Kristen Thompson was the one who grabbed the rebound initially, and she was wanting to throw it over to Simone, but Simone was starting to go up the court. So now Baldwin Wallace gets the ball back. Oh, that could end up being a backbreaker for Capital. Three-pointer on the way for Colombo. That's no good. And another offensive board for Baldwin Wallace. That's now the 9th time that Baldwin Wallace has been able to get an offensive board in this game, and they've just been killing Capital on the boards, 35-30 in favor of the Yellow Jackets in that particular statistical category. 1:05 left to play in the fourth quarter. Baldwin Wallace leading Capital 59-54. Fecht being guarded by Irwin. Now over to Colombo. Colombo will jack up a 3. It's short. Thompson with the rebound. Now she gets it over to Simone Gage. Gage across half court, 48 seconds and counting. Gage driving off the glass and in for Simone. Cuts the lead to 3, 59-56. They will get it into Feaster, now over to Colombo. Capital doesn't need a foul here. They got some time, but a foul will be committed by Capital anyway, as Watchman will commit the reach-in foul against Hannah Fecht. Both teams are over their foul limit here in the fourth quarter. So now Hannah Fecht, the 5'9" freshman from Hilliard, Ohio, went to Davidson High School here in the Columbus area, at the free throw line. Her first toss is good. That's now a 4-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. Second free throw now upcoming for Hannah Fecht. Fecht's second toss is good. It's a 61-56 lead for Baldwin Wallace. 35 seconds left to play in regulation. Simone quickly down the lane. Jumper no good. Rebound. Watchman off the glass and in for Annika. And a timeout will be taken by Capital. It's back down to a 3-point lead for Baldwin Wallace with 30.8 seconds to play in regulation. Again, we'll keep it right here at the Cap Center as we continue to get you updated with other scores around the OAC. Let's focus on the women's side for just a second. I mentioned that Capital would need Mount Union to lose to Wilmington today in order to have a shot at getting that second seed in the OAC women's basketball tournament today. And right now, Mount Union is losing to Wilmington, 59-54, with 1:22 left to go in regulation in that game. Again, a win today here by Capital and a loss by Mount Union at Wilmington would give the Crusaders the second seed in the OAC women's basketball tournament. Meanwhile, for the men, things not looking good for Andy Winters and crew. They trail Baldwin Wallace 69-64 in that one, 140, I should say, left to play in the second half. If the men's team were able to win, and assuming that Heidelberg beats Otterbein and Ohio Northern loses to Marietta, there would be a four-way tie for fourth place within the OAC. Still a lot to decide here, seeding-wise, for both tournaments. Meanwhile, back to our game. 30.8 seconds remaining in regulation. Baldwin Wallace with a 3-point lead. They will get it in to Colombo. Colombo is still dribbling around. 25 seconds. And a foul is going to be called against Annika Watchman. It looked like she was just about to jar the ball loose. But a foul will be called against Watchman. So Colombo will head to the free throw line. Thompson will be coming back into the game momentarily for Capital. So now Colombo will head to the free throw line. Free throw is up and good for Colombo. It's back up to a 4-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Watchman will check out. Thompson will now check back in for Cap. Colombo, the Strasburg, Ohio native, once again will step to the free throw line. Already having scored 14 points. Make it 15 with the made free throw. 63-58, Baldwin Wallace still with the lead. 21 seconds to go. Gage will drive on in, misses the layup. Irwin with the putback. It's good for Jenna. Still a 3-point lead here for Baldwin Wallace. Now they're trying to get the ball in, and a timeout will be called by B-Dub with 17.2 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Well, the best that Capital can hope for here is to try to get a steal off this inbounds play. They will go with the full court press. Baldwin Wallace as a team shoots pretty well from the free throw line, 73% as a team. So no matter who they trot out there, chances are they're pretty good at shooting free throws. Either way, Capital needs a big play here in order to at least get this game to overtime. 17.2 seconds remain. By the way, I need to point this out. The possession arrow favors Capital. Might play a role here in the final seconds. You never know. So now Baldwin Wallace will inbound the basketball. Clark will get it in successfully to Colombo, who is immediately fouled by Simone Gage. So now Colombo will head to the free throw line. Once again, Colombo already with 15 points. Only 2 of 7 from the field, but she's done most of her damage from the foul line. 9 of 10 from the charity stripe. And the first toss is good for Colombo. It's now back up to a 4-point lead for Baldwin Wallace as Watchman will check out once again. Thompson will check back in for Capital. Colombo's second toss is good. Back up to a 5-point lead. 15.8 seconds to go. Gage quickly across half court. Napolitano, 10 seconds. A blocking foul is going to be called against Hannah Fecht of B-Dub. That'll stop the clock with 9.9 to go. And I'm sure that's not what B-Dub head coach Sherry Harrer had in mind. So not only does the clock stop, but Capital will get a couple opportunities here to cut into this lead once again. First toss for Napolitano is good. Back down to a 4-point lead. Nina, once again at the foul line. Second free throw, good for Nina. It's back down to 3 once again. Timeout once again will be taken by Baldwin Wallace. 9.9 seconds remain in regulation. Capital trailing Baldwin Wallace 65-62 here on Senior Day. Again, it is Jenna Irwin, Shelby Sigmund, Simone Gage, Kristen Thompson, and Nina Napolitano, who will be honored after today's game. And those 5 young ladies have been a part of many, many wins here at Capitol. Great bunch to be around. Great to see Shelby Sigmund get back into the lineup. She had been dealing with a knee injury for much of this season, so it's good to see her back in there. Want to update you on some scores, some women's basketball scores that is, around the OAC. Of course, the Mount Union-Wilmington game, a game of interest. Right now, Wilmington beating Mount Union 62-54 with 31 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Other scores, John Carroll 52, Muskingum 50. Otterbein leading Heidelberg 75-66. And Ohio Northern defeating Marietta today 64-48. 9.9 seconds to go. Baldwin Wallace will inbound it from the near side of the court. Clark, the trigger man. Clark still trying to find a person to get it into. They finally get it into Feaster, and Feaster is wrapped up by Watchman. 8.6 seconds to go in regulation. So now Feaster will go to the foul line. On the year, she is an 81% free throw shooter. First toss for Feaster, no good. Thompson and Sigmund come back in for Emily Moran and Annika Watchman. Feaster will go to the foul line. And the second toss is good. It's a 4-point lead for Baldwin Wallace. 66-62. Capital trailing by 4, 8.6 seconds remaining. Gage needs to quickly get it across half court. Irwin for 3. No good. And the rebound taken by Baldwin Wallace. And that's how the game will end. Our final score today from the Capitol Center, Baldwin Wallace 66, Capitol 62. As the Crusaders drop their final game of the 2015-2016 regular season, they will be the 3rd seed in the OAC Women's Basketball Tournament, which means we will have their game for you next Tuesday night here at the Capitol Center. We hope that you will join us for that. Coming up, we will have the Peking Dynasty postgame show for you. Wrapping things up from the Capitol Center, we'll also get you caught up with scores around the OAC, both on the men's and women's sides, and so much more. Well, actually, we're going to keep it right here, as it looks like head coach Dixie Jeffers will be coming up to our broadcast booth here momentarily. So, let's welcome you into the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Our upcoming postgame coach interview brought to you by Jimmy John's. You can always count on freaky fast delivery and world-class catering, thanks to Jimmy John's. Capital falling to Baldwin Wallace 66-62. Joining us in the broadcast booth now is Capital head coach Dixie Jeffers. Well, Coach, obviously not the result in the end that you wanted for your seniors, but they gave it their all. They battled towards the end, and those 5 young ladies, they've meant so much to your program over the years.
They definitely have meant a lot to our program, and you know, we could have easily won today if we didn't mess up some defensive assignments, didn't get out rebounded, and make some easy shots.
Sydney Clark has a good game for Baldwin Wallace and 17 points for Mackenzie Colombo as well. The Yellow Jackets have a really good backcourt.
The Yellow Jackets played probably as good as they could play today. I don't want to take anything away from them, but they shot the ball. They haven't shot the ball this well probably in the last 5 or 6 games.
So now you get to honor the seniors here after today's game. This will be a special moment. They got a lot of family here, and again, I know that the scoreboard is not the result that people were looking for here today, but at the same time, they're going to get recognition, Coach.
Well, the game's over, and it's time to pay tribute to 5 seniors who have given a lot to this program over the last 4 years, and not only them, but their families too.
All right, Coach. Well, hey, go ahead and go on down there and celebrate with your seniors, and thank you so much for joining us here today.
Charlie, I appreciate it.
Head coach Dixie Jeffers joining us here on the Peking Dynasty postgame show. Baldwin Wallace defeating Capital today by a final of 66-62. And momentarily here, we will start up the post-game festivities for Senior Day. Again, it will be Jenna Irwin, Shelby Sigmund, Simone Gage, Kristen Thompson, and Nina Napolitano going down there, being honored there today, down there on the floor. With the loss today, Capital will be relegated to the 3rd seed in the OAC Women's Basketball Tournament. We'll have that game next Tuesday for you. Let's now send it down to Neil Shapiro for the post-game festivities.
Over the last 4 years, we've had a group of young ladies contribute and drive the success of this Crusaders women's basketball program. Today, we honor their contributions to Capital women's basketball and Capital University student athletes, and thank them for all they have done to maintain high levels of success and integrity to the Crusaders program as their respective careers
Well, a lovely ceremony honoring the 5 seniors for Capital Women's Basketball. Jenna Irwin, Shelby Sigmund, Simone Gage, Kristen Thompson, and Nina Napolitano being honored after today's game, a game that Capital lost to Baldwin Wallace by a final of 66-62. You might have caught the tail end of what Neil was saying after the ceremony. Capital will be playing in the OAC tournament next week as the 3 seed. We will have that game for you next Tuesday at 7:30 with the opponent still to be determined. Speaking of OAC women's basketball, let's get you caught up with other scores around the conference. Many of the games have gone final. Ohio Northern defeats Marietta 64-48. ONU will be the number 1 seed in the OAC women's basketball tournament this year. Otterbein 78-68 winners over Heidelberg. 11 seconds remain in overtime. Muskingum leading John Carroll 62-61 in that one. And finally, Wilmington defeats Mount Union 67-54. So Mount Union will have the 2 seed in the women's tournament coming up next weekend. Meanwhile, the men's team for Capital falls to Baldwin Wallace today 81-76. Mark Minch had 21 points for Capital in that game, 15 points for Austin Schreck as well. But it was not enough for Capital. Cam Kuhn, meanwhile, had 24 for Baldwin Wallace in the win for the Yellow Jackets. Other men's basketball scores around the OAC. All the games actually have gone final. Heidelberg defeats Otterbein 79-69. Marietta defeats Ohio Northern 97-73. Mount Union 105-86 winners over Wilmington. And John Carroll beats Muskingum 99-76. So the men will be on the road for the OAC tournament. With the loss today for the men's team, that drops them out of contention for the 4th seed. As we try to take a look at the updated standings, Capital with the loss falls to the 7th seed. The top 8 teams in the OAC qualify for the tournament, which means that looks like Capital will be taking on, let's see, perhaps Mount Union, since Marietta and John Carroll, the top 2 seeds, will get byes. We're going to have to check that just to be sure. For more information about tournament schedules and times for both the men's and women's teams, you can head on over to athletics.capital.edu for that pertinent information. Time now to name today's player of the game, brought to you by Donato's Pizza. For Baldwin Wallace, it was Mackenzie Colombo, who ended up cleaning up for Baldwin Wallace in this game. She had 17 points on the afternoon. And if you want to go for a player of the game for Capital, let's go ahead and give it to Kristen Thompson. She had 19 points and 8 rebounds on this senior day that, unfortunately for Capital, did not end with a win as they fall to Baldwin Wallace 66-62. So we will have the women playing in the first round of the OAC women's basketball tournament next Tuesday. That game will tip off at 7:30 here at the Cap Center, which means that we will get things started with the Rusty Bucket pregame show beginning at 7 p.m. And we hope that you join us as March Madness is right around the corner. OAC conference tournament play starting up next week. This is Charlie Danis saying one final time. The final score today, Baldwin Wallace defeats Capital 66-62 in the final game of the 2015-2016 regular season. Thanks so much for joining us all season long, folks. And hopefully we will see you next Tuesday when the women's team plays in the first round of the 2016 OAC women's basketball tournament. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend and go Cap.